In the dark space between stars where silence is endless and ships move like shadows, a human scientist named Dr. Aaron sat inside a cold alien cell, his hands tied, his future unknown, his mind still burning with questions. He had been sent on a peace mission, chosen because he was not a soldier but a healer, a man of science, someone who studied machines and medicine together, someone who believed humans and aliens could share knowledge. But the mission failed. The alien empire did not welcome him, and now he was their prisoner. The cell was made of black stone, smooth and cold, glowing with strange symbols. The air smelled like metal and smoke, and outside he could hear whispers in an alien tongue, deep voices that laughed at the weakness of humans. They called him a fragile creature, soft and useless, but Aaron listened carefully, and in those whispers he heard something more. A secret. They spoke of a princess, their ruler's daughter, the most important figure in their empire, yet cursed with blindness, unable to see the stars, unable to see her people, unable to see the throne she was meant to inherit. Many healers had tried to cure her. Many priests had prayed for her, but none succeeded. She remained blind. A mystery, a shame, a weakness hidden from other empires. Aaron's heart raced, he thought to himself. Blindness is not a curse, it is a challenge. And challenges can be solved if humans can build machines that travel faster than light. If they can put metal into broken bones and make people walk again, then maybe they can give sight back to eyes that see nothing. He waited for his chance, and when the guards brought him stale food, he spoke softly. He said he could heal the princess. They laughed, their voices like thunder in the cell. They mocked him, called him a liar, said no weak human could touch royal blood. But Aaron did not stop. He kept repeating, he could heal her. Soon the words reached the king, a massive figure who wore golden armor, his skin dark blue, his eyes burning red, his voice like fire. He stood before Aaron and asked, "You claim to do what our healers cannot. You claim to give my daughter sight. Why should I not cut you down for this insult?" Aaron stood tall even in chains. His voice steady, he said, "Because you have nothing to lose. If I fail, I am already a prisoner. If I succeed, your empire gains a princess who can see." And perhaps more. The king's face was stone, unreadable, but in his eyes flickered a spark of desperate hope, for even a mighty king fears for his child. And so he allowed Aaron one chance, one single chance. They brought Aaron to the royal chamber, a hall so large it seemed endless, with walls carved like stars, and in the center, upon a silver throne, sat the princess, her body thin, her skin pale, her eyes covered by a silver cloth. She held her head high, but her sadness filled the room. The court was crowded, nobles, priests, warriors, all watching, all waiting to see a human humiliated. Whispers spread like fire. Some said this was madness. Some said this was insult. Some said this was doom. Aaron looked at her and felt something stir inside him. Not fear, not pity, but determination. He bowed and said, "I am Aaron of Earth, and I will do everything to help you see." The princess tilted her head. Her voice soft but sharp, she said, "Many have tried, human." "Why should I believe you?" Aaron answered. "Because I do not believe in magic, I believe in science. And science does not stop until it finds a way." The king gave a signal, and the guards removed Aaron's chains, but their eyes stayed cold, their weapons ready if he failed, if he harmed the princess. He would not leave the chamber alive. Aaron began his work, his mind racing, his hands moving with precision. He asked for tools, he asked for parts. At first they refused, but the king commanded they obey. And slowly Aaron gathered scraps of alien metal, tiny wires, strange crystals, and with them he began to build. The court watched with disbelief, their whispers turning to silence, as the human-shaped small implants, delicate and glowing, machines meant to replace what nature had taken. Hours passed, sweat ran down Aaron's face, but his eyes never lost focus. Finally he held the implants in his hands, shining like drops of light. He turned to the princess and said, "With your permission, I will try." The princess lifted her chin, her blind eyes hidden behind the silver cloth, and she whispered, "Do it." The court gasped. The priests muttered curses. The nobles shook their heads, but the king raised his hand and silence returned. Aaron stepped closer, his hand steady, his heart pounding. He placed the implants gently against her temples, connecting wires, whispering instructions, explaining that she might feel pain, but also light. The chamber held its breath. The world seemed to pause, and as Aaron pressed the final switch, a hum filled the air. The implants glowed. The silver cloth fell away, and for the first time, the blind princess opened her eyes. The gasps of the court shook the hall. The princess blinked, her eyes filled with light, colors and shapes flooding into her vision. Her lips parted in wonder, and then she spoke, her voice trembling but clear. "I can see," she whispered. But then her voice hardened, her eyes narrowed. She stared into the distance as if beyond the walls, and she said, "I can see the enemy." The court erupted into chaos. The king rose in fury. The nobles shouted. The priest cried in fear, and Aaron froze, for he realized this was not just healing. This was the beginning of something far greater. And so began the story of how one human science gave sight to a princess, and in doing so, lit the spark of a galactic war. The royal chamber shook with voices. Some cried out in joy, some in fear, some in rage. The blind princess had opened her eyes, and the first thing she spoke of was an enemy no one else could see. The king rose from his golden throne, his heavy steps echoing like thunder, his voice deep enough to silence the court. "Enough," he roared. "The human has done what no healer could, my daughter sees." "But what is this enemy she speaks of, the princess?" Her new eyes, glowing faint blue from the implants, turned slowly, scanning the chamber, her voice trembling but sure. "They are here, they move like shadows. I can see their ships beyond the walls, hidden, waiting," the nobles whispered in fear. Priests muttered prayers. Soldiers reached for weapons. But Aaron stepped forward, his heart racing, his mind trying to understand. The implants were meant to give her sight, only sight, but somehow they had unlocked something more, something beyond natural vision. The king glared at him. "Human, what have you done? What curse have you placed on her?" Aaron lifted his hands. "No curse, Majesty. These implants were made to connect nerves with light, to give her eyes the ability to process what was lost. But if she sees more, then maybe it was never lost. Maybe her eyes were born to see something hidden from all others." The chamber grew cold. The princess blinked and whispered, "They burn like fire, ships cloaked in darkness. Surrounding us, if we do not act, they will strike soon." A storm of voices broke again, nobles shouting that it was madness, priests warning that the human had bewitched her, warriors demanding to strike him down, but the king lifted his hand and all fell silent, his gaze fixed on his daughter, his voice low. "Do you speak truth?" The princess did not waver, her eyes bright and sharp. "Yes, father. I can see them." The king's face hardened, his voice shook the air. "Then we prepare for war." But not everyone agreed. In the shadows of the hall, a nobleman with silver scars on his face whispered to another, "This is the human's trick. He brings doom with false visions," and others nodded. Seeds of betrayal already planted. Aaron stood at the center, his chest tight. He had wanted to heal, not bring war, but now the court looked at him with fear and suspicion. Some saw him as savior, others as danger. Later, in a quiet chamber lit by blue fire, the princess sat across from Aaron. Her eyes still glowing faintly, she studied him carefully. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Her voice softer now, curious. Aaron sighed. "Because blindness is not weakness. But no one deserves to live in darkness when there is a chance for light. I wanted to give you that chance." The princess tilted her head. "You gave me more than sight. You gave me a burden. I see what others cannot. I see danger where no one looks." She paused, her voice trembling. "And now, I fear I will see war." Aaron looked into her glowing eyes, feeling the weight of her words. Then maybe seeing is not just a gift, but a warning. That night, word spread across the empire the princess could see, and her first vision was of an invisible enemy. Some celebrated, some feared, some began to plot. Priests gathered in the temple, whispering of forbidden technology, calling Aaron's implants a violation of holy law. They warned the king that the gods would punish the empire for allowing human machines to touch royal blood. Warriors trained harder, preparing for the enemy the princess had seen, sharpening blades, charging energy rifles, their chants echoing across the city. But in the halls of power, nobles argued. Some said the human should be executed. Others said he should be protected. Some whispered of using him for more, of creating an army with such implants, of turning blindness into power. Aaron, kept under guard, knew the danger. He had given the princess sight, but also suspicion. He had made himself both valuable and hated. He knew one mistake could cost him his life. The princess, however, defended him, she told her father. "Without him, I would still be blind without him. I would not see the enemy if you kill him. You kill the truth." The king listened, torn between faith and fear, between priests calling for blood and a daughter who could finally look him in the eye. In the end, he spared Aaron, but only under one rule. "You are bound to her now if you fail her. If you betray her, your death will be slow." Aaron bowed, knowing his fate was sealed. His life was now tied to the glowing eyes of a princess who saw more than she should. And as the days passed, the princess's visions grew sharper. She described the hidden ships in detail, their shapes like blades, their engines dark as night, their numbers many. She even spoke of strange signals, whispers she could hear when the ships drew closer. The Council of War listened, their maps updated by the words of a young woman who once lived in darkness, now turned into a beacon, but far away among the stars. Cloaked ships did indeed move, silent, patient, watching the Empire, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, for the first time, someone could see them. Aaron sat in his small chamber, staring at his hands, wondering what he had unleashed. He had wanted to give one girl sight, but instead he had given a whole empire a vision of war. And as he lay awake, he remembered the princess's first words. Not thank you, not I can see, but I can see the enemy. Those words echoed in his mind. And he knew the truth. The healing was only the beginning. The real story was just starting. The forbidden healing had opened eyes that should have stayed blind, and now both human and alien futures had changed forever. The palace no longer slept. Soldiers marched through endless corridors. Bells rang across the city of towers, and whispers of war spread from noble halls to common streets. The blind princess was blind no longer. Her eyes glowed faint blue with strange fire, and her first sight was not her father's face, not the beauty of her empire, but the shape of hidden warships above their skies, invisible to every other eye. In the royal council chamber, a map of stars hovered in the air, glowing with points of light. Generals stood in their black armor, priests in silver robes, nobles with jeweled crowns, and at the center stood the princess, her hands trembling but her eyes sharp. There, she pointed, her voice steady. Ships circle us, cloaked like shadows, one at the northern edge. 3 above the western moon, more near the sun gates, they wait. Watching? The generals exchanged doubtful glances. One slammed his fist on the table. This is madness. No scouts report such ships. The human's machine fills her with false visions. But before the king could answer, Aaron stepped forward, tired yet calm. Your scouts cannot see them because their ships bend light. They use stealth beyond your sensors, but her implants connect to nerves in ways not natural. She can detect signals no one else can. The room filled with murmurs, some fearful, some angry, some curious. The princess raised her chin, her voice sharper now. I am not mad. I see them. Their engines burn in darkness. I can even hear their signals, whispers like knives. They prepare for attack. The king's hand gripped the arm of his throne, his voice iron. If this is true, then we stand at the edge of war. But not all wanted to believe. The high priest stepped forward, his silver mask glowing in torchlight. Majesty, beware, the human has poisoned her mind. She is no longer your daughter, but a vessel for forbidden power. We must cleanse her before this curse spreads. Aaron's heart pounded. The room turned hostile, blades half-drawn, voices rising. Then the princess spoke again, her eyes glowing brighter. If you doubt me, then look to the northern sky at dawn. The ships will move. They will cross the star line. You will see shadows where no stars shine. The king stared at her, then gave a single nod. We wait for dawn. That night the city was restless. Soldiers stood on walls, citizens gathered in markets, all eyes on the heavens waiting for proof. Some prayed, some cursed, many feared what would come. Aaron stood beside the princess on the balcony of her chamber. The wind cold, the sky endless, she whispered. They think I lie. They think you cursed me. If I am wrong, they will kill us both. Aaron looked at her glowing eyes. Then let us hope the truth is as sharp as your vision. The hours crawled like years. The stars glittered above, and then, as the horizon began to glow with the first light of dawn, the princess raised her hand, pointing, her voice rising. Their gasps spread across the city. For where stars should have been, shadows moved, dark shapes cutting across the light, faint outlines of ships shifting in the sky, ships that were never meant to be seen. Trumpets blared, alarms rang. The generals bowed in shame, the priests fell silent, and the king's voice thundered across the balcony. The enemy hides above us, and my daughter has revealed them. War has come. The city roared with fear and rage. Soldiers rushed to their stations. Fleets prepared for launch, but even in the chaos, whispers spread not of war but of betrayal. For some nobles did not cheer. They frowned, their eyes full of doubt. One whispered to another, if the princess sees what no one else can, then she holds power greater than the king. Perhaps it is time to choose new alliances. Aaron felt the tension. He had given sight but also danger. The princess was no longer just a daughter or heir. She had become a weapon. and weapons are both feared and desired. That evening the generals met again, this time with grim respect. They marked the enemy positions based on the princess's visions, and soon the first alien fleets were dispatched. Guided not by scanners but by her eyes, when the fleets returned, wreckage of cloaked ships drifted through space, proof undeniable. The princess's vision was real. The Empire celebrated, drums thundered, banners waved. Yet not all joy was pure. Some saw victory, others saw opportunity. In the shadows of the palace, the scar-faced noble who once doubted whispered to his allies, "If the girl can see the unseen, she can see our secrets too. She must not live long, and the human with her must fall first." Meanwhile, Aaron sat in his chamber, hands shaking. Staring at the small tools he had used to build the implants, he had thought he was giving a gift, but now it was a weapon that shifted the balance of galaxies. The princess visited him. Her eyes softer now. "They cheer me as savior, but I feel like a prisoner of my own sight. Every shadow I see could be an enemy. Every dream I have is filled with burning ships." Aaron looked at her, guilt heavy in his chest. "I wanted to heal you, not burden you. But maybe what you see is what your people were meant to know. Maybe you were born for this," she smiled faintly, though sadness lingered. "Born blind, yet meant to see war. Fate is cruel." Beyond the palace walls, the invisible enemy moved again. Thousands of ships hidden in silence, waiting for their true strike. And though the Empire had won a small victory, the greater war had only begun. The princess closed her eyes that night. But even in darkness, the implants glowed faintly, and she whispered to herself, "I can see too much." Aaron heard her words, and deep inside he knew. This vision was not just saving her empire. It was dragging humanity into the heart of a galactic storm. The princess's gift was no longer a secret, and once secrets are seen, they cannot be hidden again. The palace no longer felt safe. Its walls of black stone, once symbols of strength, now echoed with whispers. Whispers of fear, whispers of doubt, whispers of betrayal. The princess had shown the truth. Invisible ships lurking in their skies, and the Empire had struck them down with her guidance, but not everyone celebrated. Victory brought suspicion. Suspicion brought envy, and envy always sharpened knives in the dark. In the council hall, nobles stood in their jeweled robes, pretending loyalty, but behind their eyes flickered greed. The scar-faced lord spoke in low voice to his allies. "The girl sees what no other can. Today she exposes the enemy. Tomorrow she may expose us. If her eyes turn to our secrets, we are finished." Another noble, his voice sharp as a blade, answered, "Then she must not live long. And the human who gave her this power must fall first. Without him, she is nothing. Without her, he has no worth." They bowed to each other, their pact sealed in silence, treachery blooming in the shadows of victory. Meanwhile, Aaron walked the palace corridors under guard, his every step followed by alien soldiers. Some glared at him with hate, others with respect, but none with trust. He felt like a tool, useful only until he broke. The princess, however, refused to let him feel alone. She met him often, walking the gardens lit with glowing plants, her new eyes wide as she studied colors and shapes she had never seen before. Yet even in beauty she felt the burden of vision. She whispered, "Aaron, I can see too much. I look at people and their shadows betray them. I see fear in my father, greed in the council, hatred in the priests, and I fear one day I will see only enemies." Aaron placed a hand on the cold railing, his voice soft. "You were blind to protect you. But now your sight reveals the truth. Truth is not always kind, but it is power." Her lips tightened. "And power brings war." That night the betrayal came, silent as smoke, swift as a knife. Aaron slept lightly in his small chamber when he heard the faint hiss of doors opening. His eyes snapped open. Shadows slipped inside, blades glimmering faintly in the dim blue light. Assassins. 3 of them, cloaked in black, moving like liquid. One leapt toward him, but Aaron rolled. Grabbing a piece of metal from his workbench, blocking the strike, sparks flew. His arms burned with pain, but his will held firm. "Kill the human first," one hissed, their voice twisted. Then the girl. Aaron's blood froze. They were not only after him, they wanted her too. He fought clumsily, a scientist, not a warrior, but desperation gave him strength. He smashed one assassin's mask with a tool, sending them staggering, but another slashed his arm. Blood dripping, pain sharp, before the blade could finish him. The chamber door burst open. The princess stood there, her eyes glowing like twin stars. She shouted, "Guards," but her voice carried something more. a strange force that made the assassins hesitate. She grabbed Aaron's hand, pulling him toward the corridor. "Run!" she cried. Together they fled, feet pounding, shadows chasing, the palace corridors twisting like a maze. Aaron's blood leaving a trail, assassins closing in at the great hall. Guards finally arrived, clashing with the attackers. Blades and fire striking the walls, the assassins fought like demons. Their moves too fast, too precise, as if trained by someone powerful, someone inside. One assassin broke through the line, racing toward the princess. Blade raised, Aaron, without thinking, threw himself in front, the blade cutting deep into his shoulder. His cry echoing in the hall. The guards struck the assassin down, their body falling with a hiss. But the damage was done. Aaron collapsed, blood staining the silver floor. The princess knelt beside him, her glowing eyes wide with fear. "Stay with me," she begged, her voice trembling. "Do not die. I need you." Aaron coughed, his voice weak but steady. "It seems I am more useful alive than dead." He tried to smile, but pain pulled it away. The king arrived moments later. Fury in his steps, his voice thundered. "Who dares strike within my palace?" His eyes turned to the dying assassins, but their masks hid their faces, their tongues cut out. Silence, their final loyalty. The high priest bowed, his voice smooth. "Majesty, this is punishment from the gods. The human has brought curse into your house. Remove him and the danger ends." But the princess rose, her eyes blazing. "No, father. They came for me as well. They fear what I see. Someone inside this court sent them, not the gods, but traitors." The king's rage grew colder, more dangerous. "Then I will find them." Yet the seeds of doubt had been planted deeper. Priests whispered louder. Nobles sharpened plans, and even generals began to wonder. Was the princess a gift or a curse? Was the human savior or destroyer Aaron, weak and bleeding, lay in his chamber with healers tending his wounds? His thoughts heavy. "I wanted to heal her, but now I fight for my life every night," he whispered to himself. "What war have I started?" The princess visited him, her hand warm on his, her voice soft but full of fire. "You are not alone, Aaron. They will try again. But we will stand together, my sight and your mind. We are stronger than their shadows outside." The city shook with unrest. Rumors spread faster than fire. Some said the princess was cursed. Some said she was chosen. Some said the human was the real ruler behind the throne. And above, in the silent dark of space, more hidden ships gathered, fleets swelling like a storm. The betrayal inside the palace only a reflection of the greater betrayal, waiting among the stars. The human had given sight. The princess had seen the enemy, but now both had seen the truth. The war was no longer coming, it was already here, and the first strike had begun not in the sky, but in the heart of the empire itself. The empire's skies burned with rumors, whispers of assassination in the palace mixed with stories of invisible fleets destroyed by the princess's glowing eyes. But in the far distance, beyond alien suns and silent stars, another world heard the news too. Earth on Earth. Leaders sat in steel rooms beneath their capital cities. Screens flickered with alien signals. Reports poured in from deep space stations. The message was clear. A human scientist had healed an alien princess, and because of that, humanity had been noticed. Some called Aaron a hero, some called him a traitor. But all agreed on one truth. Earth could no longer hide from the galaxy. In the United Human Council chamber, 12 figures sat around a black table. Their voices sharp, their faces grim, one said. "He saved their princess. Now their war is our war." Another slammed a fist. "He gave them power. Now the enemy will come for us too." A third whispered. "Or maybe we finally have an ally strong enough to stand beside us." Debates raged, arguments louder than thunder. But then a signal interrupted. A live transmission. The face of the alien king filled the screens, his armor golden, his eyes burning red. His voice like rolling fire. "Humans of Earth," he said, "your son of science has saved my daughter. For this I owe you honor, but know this. His gift has revealed an enemy cloaked in darkness. They come not only for us, but for all. Their ships already move toward your colonies. Your people will bleed as mine bleeds, so I ask not for alliance. I demand it. Together we must fight, or alone we will fall." The chamber fell silent. The words heavy, the truth undeniable. Humanity was already a target. At the edge of human space, colonies trembled, small stations blinking distress calls, whispers of invisible ships tearing through trade routes, mining outposts gone silent, families lost among stars. Admiral Reyes of the Earth Fleet stood aboard the battleship Vigilant Dawn, her eyes scanning the reports, her jaw tight. "So it begins," she whispered. "War has come whether we are ready or not. The order was given. Fleets launched from Earth, great engines blazing, warships shaped like iron spears piercing through space. Humanity moving not as explorers but as soldiers." Back in the alien palace, Aaron lay recovering from his wounds, the princess beside him. Her hand never far when the news came. Humans had entered the war, fleets moving to join the Empire. Her glowing eyes widened. "Your people come to fight. But will they fight for us or for themselves?" Aaron's heart sank. He knew Earth well. Unity was fragile. Fear stronger than loyalty. "They will fight for survival. And survival may not always mean peace," he said quietly. Soon human ships arrived in alien space. Massive gray hulls lined with weapons. Banners of Earth shining beside alien emblems. The sight was powerful. History written in fire. Humanity no longer alone, yet suspicion lingered. Alien generals sneered, "Humans are weak." Their weapons outdated, while human admirals whispered, "Aliens are arrogant. Their empire unstable." Distrust sat heavy even as they prepared to fight together. The first joint council met in a war chamber carved of stone and steel. Humans on one side, aliens on the other, maps of stars glowing in the air. The princess stood between them, her eyes glowing, her voice clear. "The enemy gathers near the void gate. Thousands of ships cloaked, waiting to strike," she said, her hand pointing across the star map. "We must strike first, or they will fall upon us like fire." But voices clashed. A human general shook his head. "We cannot trust visions." "We need proof," an alien priest shouted. "We cannot trust humans. Their machines bring curses." The room filled with anger. The fragile alliance cracking before the first battle, until Aaron rose, his voice steady despite his bandaged arm. "You doubt her, yet her sight already saved this empire. You doubt us, yet our fleets already guard your skies. You can argue until the enemy burns you, or you can fight beside each other and survive." Silence fell. His words heavy with truth, the king stood, his voice final. "The first strike will be made, guided by my daughter's sight, and defended by Earth's fleets. Let the enemy taste our fire." And so the plan was made, humans and aliens together, though distrust lingered like poison. That night, the princess stood with Aaron on a balcony, watching human ships gleam above the alien capital, their engines glowing like new stars, her voice soft. "Do you see, Aaron, your people and mine, standing together for the first time? But how long before one turns on the other?" Aaron looked at her, his heart heavy. "As long as war lasts, alliances hold. But peace is always harder, beyond the stars." In the cold silence of space, cloaked ships moved again, the enemy gathering in greater numbers, their commander watching, his voice like ice. "So the humans step into the fire, good. Let them burn with the Empire." The war had grown larger, no longer alien against alien, but galaxy against galaxy. Earth no longer safe. Aaron no longer just a prisoner or healer, but a bridge between two species, loved by some, hated by others. And the princess no longer just heir to a throne, but symbol of a war that could reshape the stars. The moment had come, the alliance was fragile. The enemy was near, and the first true galactic battle waited just beyond the void. The void gate opened like a wound in the sky, a swirling black storm between stars, and from its heart poured shadows. Thousands of enemy ships cloaked in darkness, moving like predators, silent and merciless. Human fleets stood ready, engines burning bright. Iron hulls lined with guns, alien armadas beside them, sleek ships carved like blades, banners of two worlds flying together. On the command bridge of the Vigilant Dawn, Admiral Reyes gripped the rail, her voice firm. "All ships hold position. Wait for the signal." Her eyes flicked to the alien king's fleet, glowing with fire, tension thick even in alliance. In the palace war chamber, the princess stood at the center of a star map, her glowing eyes darting across the field, her implants burning brighter with every second. Aaron by her side, his hand steadying her as the visions poured into her mind. "They move like ghosts," she whispered, sweat running down her temple. "Hundreds behind the moons, more in the shadows of suns, they form a net. If we fly forward blindly, we will be caught." The generals leaned closer. Listening to her words like prophecy, she raised her hand. "But there, a weak point, a gap in their net. If we strike there first, we can break the chain." Aaron spoke quickly, his voice sharp. She sees what sensors cannot. If you follow her guidance, you'll strike before they even know they're seen. Admirals hesitated. Priest frowned, but the king slammed his fist. Do as she says, and so the fleets moved. Human and alien together, shifting across the black sea of space, guided not by machines but by the glowing eyes of one girl once blind. The enemy stirred, caught off guard. Their ships shifting to close the gap, but too late. The first human torpedoes streaked forward, followed by alien plasma fire. The void exploded in burning light, ships shattering, shadows torn apart. The battle began. The void became a storm of fire, thousands of ships clashing, lasers cutting through black, explosions blooming like false suns, screams echoing across comms, metal twisting, engines dying. The princess swayed, her vision sharp but her body weak. Aaron held her steady. Stay with me, he urged. They need you, she gasped, her eyes blazing. Left flank, 3 ships cloaked. Moving for the human carriers, Aaron relayed the warning. Admiral Reyes gave the order. Carriers, break formation. Fire at my mark, and in seconds, shadows flickered into view. Ships revealed too late. Blasted into fragments, cheers erupted. But the enemy pressed harder, waves upon waves, their commander watching from a black flagship at the edge of the battle. His voice cold. So the girl sees us, good. Let her watch as her fleets burn. He raised his hand and a new wave of ships surged forward. Larger, darker, powered by weapons unseen before. Beams of red fire slicing through human destroyers. Alien cruisers ripped apart, the Alliance staggering. The princess screamed, clutching her head. Her implants glowing too bright. So many, too many, she gasped. They surround us. Closing every path, Aaron held her tight. Fear in his chest, but then her eyes cleared. Her voice fierce. No, not every path. There is still one. A narrow line through the void gate. Hidden in their own shadow. If we push there, we can strike their heart. The council hesitated, the plan too dangerous. Too narrow, too reckless, but Aaron shouted, If you wait, you die. If you strike, you live. The king's voice thundered across comms. Then we strike. The fleets shifted, human and alien ships cutting through fire, burning engines to their limit. Following the line the princess had seen, the enemy laughed, confident in their net, until suddenly their heart was pierced. Their flagship caught in the open, its dark shields flaring. The combined fleets unleashed their fury, human missiles, alien plasma, a storm of destruction. The black flagship reeled, fire pouring from its hull. But even as it burned, a transmission cut through the noise. The enemy commander's face flickered across every screen. Sharp features, dark eyes, his voice chilling. Little niece, he sneered. So it is you who dares stand against me. Gasps filled the chamber. The princess froze, Aaron's heart sank. The enemy leader was no stranger, but blood. The king's own brother, her uncle. The commander's voice dripped with venom. Your implants show you what should stay hidden, but sight is not strength. And soon you will see your people die. The transmission cut. The flagship vanished into the void gate, retreating but not defeated. The battle's end only the beginning of a greater war. The fleets counted their losses. Hundreds of ships gone, thousands dead. But they had survived. They had struck the enemy for the first time. In the war chamber, the princess trembled. Her voice hollow. My uncle, it was him all along. The king's face darkened. Rage and sorrow mixed. My own blood leads our enemy. Betrayal deeper than I imagined. Aaron placed a hand on the princess's shoulder. His voice steady. You gave them victory today, but your uncle will not stop. He knows you see him, and now he will come for you. Her eyes glowed brighter, determination burning through her fear. Then let him come. I will see him fall, but in her heart, she knew the truth. The war had only begun, and the next battle would not be fought only with fleets. But with family, the Galactic War had opened its gates, and the final storm was still waiting beyond. The stars were quiet after the battle. Wreckage drifted across the void. Broken ships burning slowly in the cold dark. Voices of the dead echoing through the silence of comms. But even in victory there was no peace. The princess stood on the balcony of the war chamber, her glowing eyes staring into the endless black. Aaron beside her, his arm still bandaged, his face weary. We survived, he whispered, but his voice carried no joy, only the weight of what came next. For the enemy was not gone, the enemy was blood. Her uncle, brother of the king, commander of the cloaked fleets, and he would not stop until the empire was ash. The king summoned his council, the chamber heavy with anger. Priests demanded more sacrifices. Generals demanded more fleets, nobles demanded answers, but the king silenced them all, his voice like fire. My brother hides behind shadows, but now he shows his face. There will be no rest until he is destroyed. Yet even as the council roared, a signal came, sharp and cold. The face of the enemy commander filled the chamber once again, his eyes dark, his voice steady. Brother, he said. Niece, human. His tone sharp on the last word. You have wounded me, but the war is not yet lost. I offer you peace. But only one path leads to it. Surrender the princess to me, and I will spare your worlds. The council gasped, some whispered of agreement. Priests muttered that perhaps the gods demanded this sacrifice, but the king's fury shook the chamber. Never, she is my blood. She is the empire. But the commander's smile cut like a blade. Then know this, I will burn your skies, I will tear down your fleets, and the girl will watch her world die before her glowing eyes. The signal ended. Silence heavier than stone. The princess trembled. Her hands clenched, she turned to Aaron, her voice breaking. If I go, maybe the war ends. Maybe lives are saved. Aaron shook his head sharply. If you go, he wins, he uses you, your sight becomes his weapon. And then the galaxy burns anyway, her eyes filled with tears. But if I stay, more will die. Every vision I see is fire, death, endless battle. How many lives is my life worth? Aaron stepped closer, his voice steady though his heart raced. Your life is not a bargaining chip. You are the only one who can see the truth. Without you, we are blind. With you, we have a chance. The king placed his hand on her shoulder, heavy with both love and command. You are my daughter, my heir, my warrior. I will not give you to him. I will fight until my last breath. The council split, some shouting to fight, others begging for surrender, the empire cracking under the weight of choice, but in the end it was not the king, not the council, not even Aaron who held the power. It was the princess. She walked to the center of the chamber, her eyes glowing brighter than ever, her voice clear and sharp. I will not surrender. I will not be his weapon. If he wants me, he must face me, and he will fall. The council fell silent. Her words final, her choice made, and so preparations began for the last battle. Humans and aliens working side by side, fleets repaired, weapons charged, soldiers chanting in unison, Earth's banners flying beside the empires, for the first time not as strangers but as allies. Aaron worked day and night upgrading the implants, strengthening their connection, giving her new abilities. Now she could see farther, clearer, even into the faint signals of enemy commands. Her eyes no longer just sight, but guidance for entire fleets. When the day came, the void gate opened again, larger, darker, enemy ships pouring out like a tide. At their center, the massive flagship of her uncle, black as death, its shadow swallowing stars. The fleets clashed, light against dark, fire against shadow, explosions blooming like suns. But the enemy pressed harder, their numbers endless, their hunger burning on the flagship bridge. The commander's voice echoed, Niece, surrender now, and I will spare them. The princess stood tall on her own command deck, her glowing eyes fierce. Uncle, you took my sight before I was born. You tried to make me weak, but now I see clearer than you ever will. She raised her hand and fleets shifted with her guidance, striking enemy weak points, tearing ships apart, pushing them back step by step. Aaron relaying her visions with precision, his voice calm even in the chaos. The final moment came when her eyes locked on the enemy flagship, its shield flickering, its engines burning, she whispered. Now, and the combined fleets unleashed everything. The flagship shook, fire ripping through it, alarms screaming across enemy comms. Her uncle's voice cut through one last time, bitter, broken. You are strong, but strength brings only more war. Then his ship exploded, a black sun collapsing in fire. Silence fell across the stars. The enemy fleets broke, retreating into the void, leaderless, beaten. For the first time, truly defeated, the princess collapsed into Aaron's arms, exhausted, her glowing eyes dimming but still alive, still burning with fire. We won, she whispered, half in disbelief. Aaron held her tight, whispering back, You did more than win. You changed everything. Back in the palace, the king embraced his daughter before the council, pride and sorrow mixing in his eyes. You gave us victory, but war leaves scars. We must now build peace. The princess looked to Aaron, her voice steady. You gave me sight, but also war. Now together, we will give the galaxy peace. The chamber bowed before her, humans and aliens alike, a symbol not of blindness or burden, but of hope. Yet even as celebrations rang across worlds, Aaron felt a chill. Her uncle's last words echoed in his mind. Strength brings only more war. Was it truly the end? Or only the beginning of something greater? The galaxy was forever changed. One human science had healed a princess, and in doing so had sparked a war that united worlds. But unity was fragile and peace always harder than victory. And so the story ended not with silence, but with a question. What future waits when a blind princess sees too much, and a human dares to change destiny?